Greetings and welcome back. I'm Stan Hustad, and the creator and the leader of a series of online tutorials, always under 20 minutes, called What It Takes, or WiT, kind of the logo slogo. And the brilliant man who designed that for me, his name is Scott Franco of Franco Design. Make sure you check him out if you need any design work. In a very clever way, he said what it could be is WiT. WiT Stan Hustad. Well, we're not going to use that pun, but you see it would work. Maybe you'll remember that. Let me tell you a story that has been very important to me. It goes back a number of years when I was really kind of reinventing my life again, which I've done several times, by the way, and perhaps you have gone through that experience too. And I was first getting into the teaching and business performance coaching after having a life of teaching in schools and then as an international broadcaster around the world. So kind of a reinvention process, trying to discover what it would take to be successful. And so I was doing that, and part of the way I got started was that I was asked to give a presentation in our church. And so I really prepared well for that. I like to teach, I like to speak, and so I gave a series of presentations on the adult education, the adult forums at our place of worship, at our church. And one particular day I was really into it. It was a subject I loved, how to set goals and how that leads to a spiritual life that could be more fulfilling and happy and graceful, purposeful, intentional living, not just living by accident, not just dealing with the day. And it went well. And after the class was done, I was going around, I was picking some things up, and of course a number of people were coming to ask me questions or visit with me at the same time, and so I was trying to juggle all of that. And then because I was so busy, one of the ladies who wanted to ask me a question then turned to my wife, who was waiting patiently, and said, "My goodness, we really covered a lot of stuff today. He really had a lot of material for us." And my wife, with a smile, said, "Yes, he's just full of it, isn't he?" Well, obviously there could be a little bit of a double meaning there, and we'll let it go at that. But I've oftentimes thought of that, and that's why I'd like to talk about being full of it. Now, what it could be, hopefully I could be full of God's Spirit. That'd be great. I could be full of love. I could be full of happiness. I mean, being full might be a good thing. And of course, you could be full of a lot of other things that might not be good. And you can let your imagination and perhaps your own experience put that full. And what I will discover is that I want more and more to use the full word to describe me and perhaps be helpful to you. One of the full words that I have really come to appreciate is simply the word useful. My daughter wrote a book called How to Be Useful, and what she was doing was trying to convince young adults who were out of college and starting the business life that they were hopefully going to be good at, and they really hadn't learned that, just because they're smart and they're cute and they're full of characters and all of that, it was hard for them to understand that most people didn't care about what they could do. What she tried to demonstrate to them was that career success is, are you useful? Not how good you are, smart you are you useful? And I have decided that is one of the great words, useful. How useful are you? Not what are you good at, or what good are you, but is what you're doing, does it pass the test of usefulness for other people? One of the best ways to evaluate your job performance itself is simply to ask the question, not how much work am I doing, or what is the work that I'm doing, am I doing it well, but how useful is it? And try and make it more and more useful for the organization, for the people I'm involved in. One of my good friends was just recently speaking to me, and he made the point that because of a difficulty in the family, that he was now really, and he used my word, he said, "I've taken up your challenges. I'm simply going to try to help my family and friends, and I will be useful to them." How can I be useful? And I wrote back and thanked him for that, but then I simply said, you know, there's some other things I'm going to ask you to think about being. All right? First of all, I'm going to ask you to be graceful. Today, grace and mercy need to abound. Again, my same wonderful daughter said that one of the qualities that is attracting her back somewhat to maybe a spiritual experience is the fact that she's beginning to discover that what we really want in life is we want people who are full of mercy. Forgiving people, people who are merciful. The great line, blessed are the merciful, people who are full of mercy. So I'm going to ask you to think about that quality of amazing grace, and you perhaps have experienced people who are just full of it. Grace comes out of them. And isn't that a wonderful, delightful quality? There are a lot of people who are curseful, but then what does it mean to be graceful? And so could I ask you to think about that? That's the second quality of fullness. How useful am I? How graceful am I? Now the third thing I'm going to ask you to think about is the word fruitful. Now if I would have been a little bit smarter, I would have brought in a piece of fruit with me today, but I forgot. I was forgetful. So please forgive me. Have a little grace. But the word fruitful is something that I learned from deep spiritual traditions. Oftentimes people say is we want to evaluate people on how productive they are. And I said there's a higher standard than productivity, and that is something fruitful. Now here's what I mean. If something is fruitful, it has these three qualities. And please think about this and perhaps write them down. I would be grateful if you would. Okay? First of all, if something is fruitful, it's like a piece of fruit. It's real. It's not fuzzy. It's not soft. It's real. That apple that I should be holding right now is real stuff. I can take that apple and I can eat it and have nutrition. I can give it to you as a gift and you could be, well, thank you. I could sell it and make money and get something else. That apple is fruitful. It's real. It is useful. It, and of course, is profitable. It's real stuff. And when something is fruitful, it is real. And it has purposes that are helpful, useful, all of that good stuff. Secondly, if it's fruitful, just like a piece of fruit, it has seeds in it. That means it has the ability and the quality to generate new growth. Literally, the 10 or 12 or 15 apple seeds within that one apple could, by no great stretch of the imagination, lead to 15 apple trees. And all of those apple trees would have hundreds, maybe 1,000 pieces of fruit on them. So if something is fruitful, it passes the test that it creates generational life. It has the ability to give life and to perpetuate itself and, in effect, carry on. Wow. Grateful. So it's real, it's productive, and it carries on. And then it's sweet. If something is fruitful, it's not only real and productive and useful, not only generative and has the ability to leave a legacy and reproduce and carry on, but it has a sweetness to it. Something that's pleasant, something that is pleasing. And so I oftentimes ask myself the question, is what I'm doing truly fruitful? A much higher standard than productive. Is it fruitful? Is it real, useful, helpful, and all of the things that bring reality and good things out of it? Does it have that legacy quality to it, that generative quality to it? Isn't it sweet? And so I challenged my friend. I said, not only be useful, but be graceful, and then perhaps be fruitful. Then I said, the fourth thing I want you to do, and it's a challenge, it's really hard. I know it's one of the hardest things in the world, particularly when you're going through deep adversity, and there are qualities in my own life right now which are kind of tough. Can I learn to be thankful, no matter what? One of the great admonitions that comes out of the spiritual tradition came from the man St. Paul, who had a great line when he would give what I would call kind of a personal teaching letter or a management memo to his colleagues or the people who were kind of following in his footsteps. And he had a great line. He said, I give thanks upon every remembrance of you. What a great thing to say to people. You know, when I think of you, I give thanks. I'm thankful for you. I'm grateful for you. I have found that those words do a lot of almost magical things in people's lives. They hear them so little that it kind of strikes a chord within them that they perhaps weren't even aware was important to them. I remember saying to a young server one time after she'd done an exceptionally good job, and I simply said, you know what, I'm really grateful for how well, I'm really thankful for how well you've served me and taken care of me and my family. And it was above and beyond the thank you. She hears thank you or thanks, but there was something that brought it even to a deeper and more personal and relational level for her. You could just tell that she was struck by the idea that somebody was grateful and thankful for what she had done. So, that's the lesson for today. We could be full of lots of things, and full of it could mean a lot of good and maybe not so good things. But could I challenge you in this brief, what it takes, perhaps a little wisdom, insight, and truth, that what you really want to have in your life and what you want to share with others is you want to share that you are useful, that you are graceful, that you are fruitful, and you are thankful no matter what. Well, I'm thankful that you've taken time to listen to my little lesson. I hope it has been useful to you, and hopefully it will be fruitful for you. Hopefully it has been good for both of us to understand together how we might live lives that are more fully alive, more fully awake, and more fully involved in the life of others. Just something to let it kind of sit on your head for a while and ask the God of all things, who is full of grace and mercy, to help you be full of it. I'm Stan Hustad for What It Takes. All the best, and bye for now.